once again, Star Wars unboxing fans. Welcome to another episode of Darth Tuba's Star Wars, or I should say Darth Tuba's Halloween crafting show. I'm your host, Darth Tuba, and today what I've decided to do was go in a little different direction. We've had a few, if you look back on my previous episodes, we've done a few Star Wars themed crafting pumpkins. You can buy these in any kind of craft store, these pumpkins. In fact, a lot of them sell them on sale. I actually ended up buying a couple right the day after Halloween for tremendously little money. Like I think it was $1 a pumpkin or something. So I have plenty to work on for future years. But this is you'll see this one's actually a little smaller. It's kind of more of a tiny, probably the smallest size craft pumpkin you can get, which I thought was appropriate for the character of D-0. And I don't know if you can recognize that, because I'll tell you right now, I could not find a D-0 stencil online. So I tried to make one myself, okay? Having done a few stencils, other people's stencils, I've discovered some of the things you want to do. It's kind of like what you want to do is you want to highlight. And what I'll do is, while I have this here in front of me, I'll put the unmarked stencil in front. So what you want to do is essentially kind of highlight what are the key features of the character you're doing. And again, the experts that do this can go crazy with it. They also utilize a lot of shadowing and shading, that type of thing, because a lot of what you do on a pumpkin is not going to be the entire thing. And then there are those that are mega experts, Jedi Masters, if you will, that can do incredible stuff. So basically what I tried to do, as you can see, I tried to get the three things here. I have a little from a previous episode here. Here is the D-0, Bump and Go D-0. And what I tried to do, essentially, was get some of the key features. A little bit of his grill in the front, although I only have, it looks like I have 3 here, but I ended up only being able to do 2. I actually did this out of order, so I'm gonna insert, after I'm done talking here, I'm gonna insert my high-speed setup of basically taping the stencil to the pumpkin and doing that, okay? So why don't we do that? Well, let's go to that right now. Okay, so as I said, what I was able to do, I just used a little tiny mini screwdriver to poke in all the holes, okay? And what I'm trying to do, the more holes you do, the better off you'll be, because when you take this off, it's a little harder to do. You can't really have the paper on when you do the stenciling, when you actually do the cutting. So that is kind of what we set up, okay? Put a little bit of a thing here, to kind of represent his roller gear, his treads over here to kind of represent this, okay? But I didn't do a full out detail thing. I only did parts of it, all right, just to kind of see. So I'm not even 100% sure. This one looks like there are 3 parts of his grill in the front. It's really going to only come out as 2, all right, which may kind of negatively affect it. But again, it's just a sample. So let's see how we do. All right, so next thing you'll see is the high-speed cutting up of the pumpkin, and we'll see how we do. Obviously, you have to do it. We recommend base first. Cut a nice hole in the base, and then just work your way through. I utilize a hot knife, a hot X-Acto knife, because it cuts through this really well, but you got to be very careful with it. And because of the fine-tuning of this, you probably want to try to find the smallest blades you can to do that. And it's a very slow process, okay? So I've been able to do it the last time. The first time I did it, I burnt myself 3 times. The last time I did it, I didn't burn myself at all. So we'll see how we do. Here is the end result. And just so you know, I'm posing it next to the D-0 Bump and Go figure, so you can kind of get an idea kind of where I was going. It's a little hard to make out on just the photo. Okay, so first off, I figured some key areas that give him his D-0 look are the 3 lines here. That's like the biggest one, right? Because that looks like it's like his eyes and his nose. The antenna. Now I only gave him 1 antenna. I suppose I could have given him a second one out here, but a lot of the looks I've seen in the side profiles, it seems like he only has, you can only see 1 at a time. This kind of looks less like him. It looks more like a reindeer with antlers or something. So kind of went with that. Now he should have a whole bunch of these. It's hard to see with the light. Just want to dim the light so you can see the flashing better. I wanted to give him more grills, but I really felt like if I did too many. Now I will say this: craft pumpkins are really good for doing this kind of thing. If you try to do this on a regular pumpkin and you're not really an expert, you run the risk of breaking apart. It just depends on if you get a weak spot in it. Whereas craft pumpkins, generally have the same level of strength throughout. So I probably could have snuck another one of those. I had 2 here. I could have probably snuck a 3rd one in. The other thing is that my hot X-Acto knife, my warm knife that I use for this, it wasn't, the blade size was a little big, so I didn't feel comfortable doing that. Okay, some other areas. Again, this has it kind of straight, but pictures I've seen, he had kind of like an L-shaped kind of gear here that kind of helps steer him. And then I gave him his rounded edge at the bottom and the treads going up here. So I think like when you look at it real fast, it definitely has a D-0 look. I'm sure there are craft pumpkineers that can do far better jobs than I did, but I was just having fun with it, giving something, give it a shot. And again, it was a smaller pumpkin, okay, so you could have probably, could have gotten a bigger one and done it with a little bit more ease, okay? Some incidental things just to be aware if you've never done this before. Number 1, this is not a real candle. It's just a light that has like the flickering sound. You just rest it on top or in it, inside of it. Do not use actual candles. It says it on the pumpkin. It's flammable. Okay, so you try to light a candle to this thing, it will melt and burn. Okay, in fact, that's what makes the X-Acto hot knife. It's basically like a knife that you plug in like a curling iron, except the blade warms up and it gets to a pretty hot thing and it makes it much easier to go through. You probably didn't notice it though when I did it on high speed, but I actually had it plugged in, not realizing that the other end of the plug wasn't plugged into the wall. So for the first half of this, it wasn't even lit. So you could just do it with an X-Acto knife, but it's a lot harder. Once you warm up that knife, it moves through it so much quicker. So there you go. There's my D-0 pumpkin. All right, and that'll do it for this week's episode of Darth Tuba Star Wars Unboxing Show. Like, subscribe, hit the notification button. Well, again, welcome to our new subscribers. If this episode didn't tickle your fancy, keep watching. There's all sorts of things we do, mainly unboxings, but we do a few other things like toy runs, Disney World trips, particularly spending most of our time in the Star Wars centric areas, and some holiday stuff, holiday crafts too, related to Star Wars that we will do as well. So lots of stuff to look forward to. So thank you so much for watching. Until next time, may the Force be with you.